When will Bitcoin reach all-time highs? How long will it take before mainstream adoption kicks in? What even is a ripple? These are some of the most asked questions in cryptocurrency, but there's one question that rises above all others. It's the one question everyone wants to know. Everyone has a lot of skin in the game, if you own Bitcoin, to find the answer. Will Bitcoin ever hit $1 million? Find out today as I talk it up with Crypto Wendy O. Hey guys, so I'm joined with Wendy. We're glad to have you as always on the show. Appreciate you coming in every week, doing some TA for us usually, but today I want to do something a little bit different. So let's just start off with the question. People in my audience know who you are. They know you're a TA expert. You wouldn't say that, I bet, but I'll say it, Wendy. Okay, I'll say you're a TA expert, technical analysis expert. Is Bitcoin ever going to hit $1 million?
To be honest with you, I think it will.
Really?
Normally I don't like to give predictions like that, but I think one day it will hit $1 million. And do you want to know why?
Why?
So I think that there's a lot of volatility with the market, and essentially Bitcoin was created as digital cash. We're supposed to spend it. We're not supposed to hodl it. We're not supposed to trade it. But I think that once Bitcoin hits a very, very high peak price, I feel like we're going to start to see a lot of this volatility kind of go away and minimize. So it's not. This is my opinion. It's not backed by math. It's not backed by technical analysis.
It's okay. Fiat isn't backed by anything. So
that's true. It's backed by. I couldn't tell you. Anyways, I think that at $1 million just seems like a nice price point for Bitcoin to kind of stabilize at, because who's going to move the market when it's $1 million?
Yeah. Well, that would put, I believe, since Bitcoin has 100 million Satoshis, if you move that decimal, or if you move that over two places, the decimal, then that would put one Satoshi equal to 1 penny.
Ooh.
Yeah. So it is a nice round number. Now, I'll get into a little bit more about my predictions for Bitcoin and can it hit $1 million? What everybody wants to know is, can Bitcoin hit $1 million in this bull run? Now, it might be kind of crazy, but I'm going to tell you a few things. But I want to get to something that I've been talking a lot about here in my office with my people that work here. We've been talking about, what is Bitcoin? Is it digital gold? Is it currency? We all know at this point it's not currency. Like, we all know that. But we're actually doing a video very soon on what if Bitcoin were to become the reserve currency for cryptocurrencies. Whatever the electronic payment system is that works, that will actually be able to send value back and forth across the internet very quickly, easily, where not only that, but you could do it in retail, brick and mortar. We all know that coin exists, or it will exist. We don't know what it is. But what if instead of these stable coins being pegged to the US dollar, you have an electronic currency that's pegged, to Bitcoin? I think that could lower some of the volatility and things like that. I mean, you look at the dollar index, and yeah, we've dropped off like a cliff, like 10% over the last 6 months. Or 9 months now, however long it's been. But, it's only 9%. Bitcoin swung back and forth 9% like 6 times since then. So
I've never thought of that fully, but that actually makes a lot of sense, because we are going to implement a digital dollar. Each different country or continent, whatever, maybe even different cities, they're going to have their own digital fiat currencies, and they really need something a little bit better than a US dollar or a yen or a peso or even the GDP to kind of back it by, because if the economy takes, so does the GDP, and then your currency is still worthless. So the fact that that is a viable solution, it's very interesting to me.
It is. You hadn't thought about it. Let me ask my off-air personality, TJ. Are we the first people to have thought of this? TJ says no. TJ says other. He always tells me that other people have thought of things before me. He just doesn't know where it is or who they are. But he always knows I'm not first. So he's a Debbie Downer in the office, and specifically towards me. Okay.
Oh, negative Nancy.
He's a negative Nancy. Debbie Downer, sour Cindy. Okay, but so here's the thing. Do you have a personal prediction for where you think Bitcoin will be by the end of this bull run?
Well, the stock market is going to crash. It's going to be very volatile. It is going to crash. So if you guys are watching this and you guys are all euphoric, I'm here to tell you, and to be the Debbie Downer of the show, is that it will crash. Everything corrects. If you look at gravity, whatever goes up must come down.
Right.
And think about that with the market. I think $50,000 is a nice conservative target. I mean, maybe it will shoot up higher, but realistically, you got to look at market cap. You got to look at the economy. Who's got money to spend? We are in the midst of a pretty crazy, hectic time. We've got another election coming. And this particular time is a lot different than the last bull run.
Still a very contentious time back then as well. A lot of the same things that were happening 4 years ago are happening now. Not a shocker, if you ask me.
Sure.
But, so for me personally, like, my prediction for Bitcoin is considerably higher for that. It's 225K. And, well, the stock to flow chart says 290K.
Okay.
Are you not down with the stock to flow chart? Are you one of those people that shuns it?
It's not that I shun it. I just prefer to do my own analysis. And I also don't like to, I like to be a little bit more conservative. And the reason why I like to be a little bit more conservative is because if you set, when we're talking about money, when you set your sights on something that is extremely, extremely high, maybe it may or may not go there. But I still feel like $50,000 is a great target. Actually, screw that. My target is not $40,000. It's not $50,000. It's going to be $315,000.
Oh, that's good. I thought you were going for $300 trillion. That would be,
No.
That's what I'm going to sell my company for one day. $300 trillion. That amount of money doesn't even exist right now.
Well, I'm sure that
years.
we can print it.
We can print it. Absolutely. There's no problem with that. Yeah, you guys hear that? She's not big on Plan B's stock to flow chart. So, Wendy, strong, independent woman, don't need that chart. So, I like that about you.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. So, Wendy, here's the thing. So, I told you my target. You told me your target. And then, just like most people, you listened to me and decided to go way more bullish. So, I believe that 290 it's so crazy to think that that's what the stock to flow chart says. That's why I backed off a little bit. I'm like about 225K. I've been saying that for about a year now, somewhere around then. And I know people, though, now we've seen a slight change in the sentiment over the last 2 weeks. Now, the last week has been a little, the markets have been bleeding, stuff like that. A lot of people are saying that PayPal's entrance into crypto, combined with what JP Morgan is doing, they have a new blockchain company, right? Called Onyx. You're looking at, obviously MicroStrategy, which none of us knew what they were until they put a bunch of money in Bitcoin. So I don't know why all of a sudden everybody loves MicroStrategy like it's, I don't know, some great company. But with all this money coming in, all this institutional money coming in, and all of these changes, I even know people who now are starting to say, like, people I know who are level-headed individuals. These are not like random guy in my comments that's like Bitcoin to moon, not that guy. That's me. But it's literally, level-headed people I know saying that they really believe that 600, 700K is in play for this bull run.
I don't want to say this bull run because I feel like that's very, very high. I do like I said, I like the 315,000. Yeah. I like that. I think I got to outdo you, got to be more bullish than you, but I think that's a little bit more reasonable. But could you imagine it shooting up? How many times is that for it to go from 14? Let's just even it out and say 15K right now, even though it's at 14. How many times is that? How fast can you do that math?
Well, 6 times would be 90K, and 90K would go into 36, it'd be like 50X almost, all right, wouldn't it? I wish I had my calculator open, which I don't. I would literally do that math and verify my correctness. I don't know. I mean, we'll see. For Bitcoin to hit $1 million, I've been doing like a little bit of research on it, here and there, and numbers always change, but I think it would need like right now, like a $20 trillion market cap, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And they say there's about 80 to 100 trillion dollars floating in the world. That's minus derivatives and minus real estate. Like once you start adding those two in, you start talking about way bigger numbers. But let's just say $100 trillion. You're saying 1/5 of all money would have to go to Bitcoin. Now, there is, I watched an interesting thing on climate change, believe it or not, of all things. I know it's a controversial topic.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, very controversial, okay? What they say is they were talking about something, it might have been on Joe Rogan's podcast a year ago, where they were talking about how big of a problem climate change is. And what these people were saying is that climate change is not really going to be a problem in the future because there's going to be so much more money created in the world from, because think about this. If you have all these underdeveloped countries, if every country were a first world country, think about how much more money there would be in the world. Does that make sense?
Right.
Yeah. I know it can get a little tricky with the economics and stuff like that. I mean, somebody's always got to be at the bottom. But if all of a sudden you have all these people who have good living conditions, it's kind of like I think of it like this, like in the Middle Ages, which may or may not exist. That's a different video though. Think of the standard of living in the Middle Ages. Mm-hmm. Okay. What would have been considered luxury in the Middle Ages?
Having a castle, being married, being shacked up with Dracula or a duke or something, having like a cow and a horse.
Right. Having a cow, a horse,
and a pig.
You still didn't have running water.
True.
You still didn't have electricity. You still didn't have what was the other thing I was thinking? There's so many things that you didn't have that, now our poverty level lives in luxury compared to the people that were the highest level back then. And that's kind of the idea that over time things get lifted up and there's going to be more money and more value in the world and things like that. Now we do have a wealth, not to get too hippie lib on you here, but we do have a wealth distribution problem obviously in the world and things like that. But basically there will be so much more money that 100 trillion number could grow drastically, if that makes sense. So like if Bitcoin were to hit $1 million because there was $20 million in cap in 10 years from now, but there's a lot more money in the world, like it can make more sense fundamentally how that could actually happen. Does that make sense?
It makes sense, but I would still have a lot of questions about it, like how it would really work and how it would really be sustainable in the next, like, let's say 10 years, if you think about it.
So what this person was saying is we'll have enough money to just totally wipe climate change out. We'll see. We can control our own weather, which you probably can already.
I think so too. TBH.
Yeah. So, but long and short of it, let's wrap this up here, Wendy. We are both in agreement. Bitcoin will not hit $1 million on the next bull run.
Correct.
But we are also both in agreement that we do believe over the long term, it is possible, maybe likely, that Bitcoin will hit $1 million, correct?
I agree with that. I do think there is a big chance that it can hit $1 million, not this bull run though.
Okay, last question. How many cycles do you think it would take for Bitcoin to hit $1 million?
When our kids are grown up.
3 cycles, maybe 2. Because if it were to go up to 350K, drop back down to 20, 30, 40,000, something like that, then possibly at the tail end of the next run, it could happen. Are we also in agreement that we will pretty much see a standard bull cycle here? Like what we see in the past, we'll see a pretty similar thing?
I think it's going to look about the same. And I know we're short on time here, but all I want to tell the BitSquad is be very, very careful. You guys, please make sure to take profits. Do not bag hold. Keep a moon bag and just please take profits. That's all I will say. And then keep reinvesting, keep flipping, and keep doing it over and over again.
That's it. Get that money. Get that bread. Oh, get that bread. I'm going to leave it there.
Thank you. This is not TikTok, sir.
Goodbye, Wendy. Well, I'll see you.
Have a good day. Thank you.
Thank you. Big boy out.